Lin Mo Yu's eyes widened as he whispered, "Poisonous thunder god beast." He instantly understood before it died. The former thunder light beast had been contaminated by the divine blood of the god of venom. That blood, brimming with monstrous power, had entered its body and caused a mutation. What once wielded only the power of lightning had now become a monster fused with venom and the force of the thunder gods, a being beyond nature's usual creations. He swiftly drew its soul back into his scythe, and in that moment, a cold yet satisfied smile traced his lips. "This is actually good," he murmured, his voice low with a hint of delight. "Its abilities are stronger now. From this day on, it'll be my true trump card." The air around him seemed to echo his words, quiet, yet heavy with tension. He then turned his gaze forward, toward a dark passage lit by faint golden flames. Every step weighed on the ground. The sound of his boots on broken stone beat like the slow rhythm of a drum, rasping through the stillness. "If I cross this corridor," he said calmly, "I'll reach the promised land." As he walked on, the surroundings changed. The tunnel walls gave way to carvings etched with glowing sigils, ancient runes that seemed to move and breathe with each stir of air. Every light was like a guide, pointing the way toward a great purpose. Soon he arrived at a place that felt like another dimension, a vast hall brimming with mysterious energy. At its center stood a colossal crystal, shimmering between purple and violet, encircled by magic circles, as if for some ancient ritual. He halted and smiled faintly. "At last, I've made it," he whispered. But before he could savor the triumph, his expression shifted. He sensed a strange energy from one of the side circles. The power there was familiar, a presence he had felt long ago, now stronger and more dangerous. He approached with caution, each step accompanied by a chill breeze. As he stepped into the circle, the entire space flashed. The great crystal rose into the air, spinning as it unleashed a blinding radiance. Smaller crystals around it took flight like living stars. From them streamed purple and golden energies, lightning that whipped through the air, forming a breathtaking storm of light. In that instant, the crystals suddenly shot toward Lin Mo Yu fast, like hundreds of arrows loosed at once. They moved so quickly there was no room for error. In a blink, he was surrounded by glittering shards, each packed with dazzling electrical energy. Seeing the danger, he activated his skeleton armor without wasting a second. The crystals crashed into him with tremendous force. Thunder boomed, and searing light washed over the hall. The ground quaked, the air burned with overflowing power. Yet amid the chaos, a strange notification appeared before his eyes. "Your electric immunity has increased by 1%. Then more followed. "Electric element activated. "Electric element limit increased." Those messages appeared again and again, a ceaseless rain of light. He paused, surprised yet intrigued, watching them. The electrical voltages from the magic crystals pierced his skeleton armor, crawling over his body like living energy. Instead of pain, he felt something else happening within him, a kind of fusion. "These lightning bolts, they pierced my armor," he whispered, a slow smile forming. "But I took no damage." He felt a strange current flow through his veins, as if a new element within him were awakening. His eyes glinted faintly, and a cool smile curved his lips. "Is this my reward for clearing Thunder Canyon?" he murmured. "My electric element immunity has reached 90%. He didn't waste any more time. He stepped into the center of the magic circle and stood firm, as if fated to open a new chapter of power. Gazing at the crystal turning in the air, he said quietly, "Sir Antares, this is the orb you wanted, isn't it?" He opened his inventory and took out dragon blood, the same blood once given to him by a great dragon as a token of trust. The moment it emerged, the air seemed to stir. A heavy presence wrapped the space, as though an ancient force had awakened. With a swift but controlled motion, Lin Mo Yu hurled the dragon blood toward the magic crystal suspended over the shining circle. The instant the blood touched the crystal, a blinding light burst forth. The crystal flared with azure energy and slowly began to melt, magical fire dancing around it. Waves of energy shimmered and spread like awakening stars, and from the heart of that wondrous scene emerged a small yet dazzling orb, a dragon pearl, its pure light seeming to contain the very life of a dragon. Lin Mo Yu didn't hesitate. He leapt forward, letting the air carry him, and gently reached for the orb. As soon as he touched it, a surge of power rushed from his palm through his entire body. Light gleamed in his eyes, and in a soft whisper he said, "At last, I've obtained it." Before he could move again, a familiar voice rolled through the air, deep, weighty, laced with the laughter of wisdom and power. "You really are something, boy. You've already secured the dragon pearl," the voice said. Lin Mo Yu froze, eyes widening as he glanced upward. Before he could answer, the dragon pearl flared, gradually wrapping his body in light. For several heartbeats, he saw nothing but brilliance as energy roared around him, as if carrying him elsewhere. Within the radiance, his awareness stirred once more. From the depths of his mind came the voice of Antares, the ancient dragon who had given him the blood. Thunderous, yet tinged with respect, it spoke, "Then you may return. Activate the teleportation array within the dragon pearl, and it will take you back to the upper space area." Lin Mo Yu fell silent for a moment, then smiled gently. "I still have a few things to settle in the lower space. I'll return once everything is done," he replied calmly. As the light faded, Lin Mo Yu pondered. It seemed the dragon pearl was truly important to Antares. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so eager to summon him back. But if Lin Mo Yu showed less interest in returning right away, perhaps Antares would allow him to remain here longer. Elsewhere, in the dragon realm, Antares answered in a low voice, carrying the authority and wisdom of millennia. "Very well, it's your decision. Once you complete this trial, we shall speak properly and finalize our pact." Lin Mo Yu smiled and chuckled softly. "All right, expect me back as soon as I'm finished here." Their conversation ended there, a quiet promise exchanged between two beings, each guarding their own secrets. Moments later, the scene shifted again. The surrounding light vanished. When Lin Mo Yu opened his eyes, he found himself in a new place. It was dark yet full of energy, the air cold with the scent of ancient magic. Before him yawned a cave, deep, silent, yet humming with power, as if something slept in its depths. "A hidden cave," he whispered, eyes shining with anticipation and awe. His heart stirred once more with the urge to unravel mysteries. Without hesitation, he raised his hand and summoned his companions. From his shadow emerged skeleton warriors, one by one, some bearing weapons, others shields, all ready to obey their master's command. "Come, let's explore," Lin Mo Yu ordered softly as they moved into the cave. Meanwhile, far across the cosmos, in the dark and terrifying demon realm, a deafening roar of rage thundered from the depths of a colossal palace. The air tasted of electricity and brimstone. Shadows along the pillars seemed to move with lives of their own. The entire place felt steeped in a cold intent, as though every stone and wall were storing wrath. A voice filled with fury bellowed, the air trembling, a green light spreading across the chamber. "Who dared insult me? Find them. Find at once who has provoked my anger. In these past days, who went to Thunder Burial Canyon in the lower space area?" That voice belonged to none other than the Demon Emperor himself, a being whose presence made even the palace pillars shudder under the weight of his power. His aura pounded in the veins of all who knelt before him. Iron ornaments around them sang in a strange pitch. Before him, every demon subject was prostrated forms, snarling yet trembling, suffocated by fear. None dared lift their eyes. Each one shook, feeling the lethal wrath of their ruler, a rage that could annihilate a being in a blink. The hall fell silent, save for the demon's heavy breathing and the faint rustle of garments woven from smoke. Among them, a dark demon knelt, chest heavy, fingers trembling. At the mention of Thunder Canyon, his heart pounded and fear flashed in his eyes. My clone, it was destroyed in the Thunder Burial Canyon. Could it be? Lin Mo Yu is there now, he thought, almost unable to believe it. The succubus queen was present as well, watching in silence. She said nothing, but her eyes, sharp and discerning, seemed to probe every movement and weakness. Beneath her teasing smile flowed a dim desire, a subtle thrill at the unfolding tension around Lin Mo Yu. Her presence was fleeting yet heavy, a threat and a delight at once. Suddenly, a trembling voice rose from the ranks of demons, breaking the quiet. It was Lin Mo Yu. The moment the demon emperor heard that name, a storm of savage rage exploded. His terrifying aura surged and rumbled through the palace. Mud and frost flaked from the pillars, and even those kneeling felt the air itself change. With a booming, icy voice, he roared, "Again, Lin Mo Yu, spread my decree. Whatever the cost, kill Lin Mo Yu. Whoever accomplishes this will receive the reward of a low thrasher." The hall fell deathly silent. Not a single demon moved. Their eyes widened in shock. A low thrasher, that was no trivial prize. It was a rare reward coveted even by high demon lords, a treasure with power nearly equal to a sacred relic. The mention of a low thrasher's value and presence opened a new door to corruption and schemes, the lingering shadow of control in that hall. From the side, the dark demon glanced at the venom demon beside him. His cold stare was like lightning in the dark. "Venom," he whispered, voice barely audible, fear and hope mingling. "Aren't you tempted by a low thrasher?" The venom demon smiled low, full of confidence. It was not a kind smile, but one of calculated ambition. "A low thrasher isn't something easily obtained," he said in a cold, flat tone, tinged with pride. "As the Venom Lord, I'd rather continue my research into lethal poisons. Slaughter and war are for blood-hungry fools." There was a faint taunt in his voice, as if to say that true power is not a contest, but an art and a science forged by patience. As their voices faded into the palace's cold air, the image of darkness dissolved, and we returned once more to Lin Mo Yu. He walked quietly through a cave shimmering with golden energy. Every step carried a faint crackle of electricity. Crystals around him blazed, breathing in rhythm with his presence. Each time the light struck his skin, it felt as if living lightning flowed through the air, sharp, cold, and thrumming with strange vitality. As he neared one of the sparkling crystals, a powerful wave of energy rolled out. Light burst, and a notice appeared before him. "You have obtained electric essence. Your immunity to the lightning element has permanently increased by 1%. Lin Mo Yu picked up the gleaming crystal, watching it flicker between his fingers. A gentle smile touched his lips. "My limit," he said softly. "It's reached 90%. He grew quiet, letting the crystal's energy merge with his body. He felt a mild warmth in his veins and the flow of a new force, as if lightning itself now coursed in his blood. "With these electric essences, I can push my resistance to the limit," he thought, then paused, peering into the cave's deeper reaches where the light barely reached. "But what else lies in its depths?" He continued in silence, his footsteps echoing down the long passage. Cold, heavy air wrapped the place, each breath carrying a glitter of energy, as if nature's own power were watching him. After several minutes, a massive palace slowly emerged ahead, an edifice forged from metal and lightning. The whole structure blazed with golden light. Electricity flowed through it like blood through a creature's veins. Lin Mo Yu stopped, eyes widening, breath nearly catching. "Is this the palace of the Thunder God?" he whispered, scarcely believing. "And I hold the key to open it." Before the palace stood a colossal door, lofty, carved with living patterns. Symbols upon it burned with golden lightning, and at the center was a sword-shaped slot, gleaming as if devouring light. Floating right before him was a small sword, turning slowly as a gentle current flickered around it. As though it called to him, he reached out carefully. At the mere brush of his fingers, a powerful surge of energy rang out. "You have obtained the Thunder God's sword, the divine blade of the God of Lightning, and the key to open the Thunder God's palace." Lin Mo Yu's eyes widened. He felt the weight of the moment. The sword wasn't just a weapon. It was a symbol of power long hidden beneath history's clouds. Gripping it firmly, he drew a steady breath and stared at the towering door. "If this truly is a god's palace," he murmured, What awaits inside? Slowly, he aligned the sword with the slot. A deep sound rumbled, and with a swift motion he inserted the blade. At once, a deafening hum echoed through the cave. The ground trembled. Lightning all around danced like living things. The sword began to turn, shining with azure light as the door started to open. A blinding brilliance burst from within, holy, warm, as if from lightning's very heart. The air flooded with a power that seemed to sear the soul, and with every beat of Lin Mo-yu's heart, the door seemed to answer. The massive gate slowly sank, a cold breeze pouring out, tinged with a god's might. Lin Mo-yu's heart pounded. This doorway wasn't just an entrance to a palace. It was a passage to a power long hidden by the gods. It wasn't the kind of palace sung about in legends, no splendor, no majesty. The pillars were fractured and blackened by lightning scars. Deep fissures veined the ceiling, and the floor was laced with thick rivers of electricity that slithered like living things. Every step answered with a soft crackle, while a cold, golden glow pulsed along the walls as if the whole place were quietly breathing. At the hall's center rested a coffin. From it, waves of lightning rose and fell in the dark, the currents humming like an ancient chant. The power inside felt stubbornly alive, strength that time had failed to dim. Lin Mo-yu stood staring, his face hardening by degrees. "I remember," he murmured, "the thunder god was killed by the king of desolate beasts. So, was this their battleground?" He swept the room with his eyes. Only the hiss of arcs and the distant, rolling thunder answered. He advanced, slow and vigilant, ready for a hidden strike or for whatever lay within that coffin to stir. Up close, the truth struck him. A colossal corpse lay inside. Yet it showed no decay, shrouded instead in snapping lightning. The skin gleamed like tempered steel, and streams of light flowed around it, forming a sanctified armor of thunder. Lin Mo-yu stopped short, struggling to believe. This is the thunder god's body," he whispered, breath catching. "Even after countless years, not a trace of rot." Then he noticed a peculiar mark on the deity's brow, a lightning-shaped sigil flashing between cerulean and gold. Awe resurfaced in his gaze. "That must be where the discharge grass belongs," he said, the thought crystallizing. He drew out the discharge grass from his storage, a rare sacred herb said to awaken lightning's guardian gods. As he approached, thunder howled, and the lightning around the coffin flared as if roused from ages of sleep. The herb began to spin, its released energy entwining with the power coursing from the thunder god's form. The forces collided, winding into a spinning cyclone of pure electricity. Wind roared under the strain, and thunder crashed like 1,000 storms detonate at once. Before his eyes, the discharge grass combusted and vanished, devoured by the awakening force within the god. A searing flash burst from the coffin, nearly blinding him. Lin Mo-yu stumbled back, shielding himself with his own energy as the floor trembled and the palace stones seemed to vibrate with fury and might. The thunder god's titanic body rose from the coffin. A deafening roar like 10,000 thunders swept across the hall. At last the god's eyes opened, golden as an eternal storm, a deity waking after millennia. Lin Mo-yu recoiled, eyes wide. "Awake, the thunder god," he gasped. Power poured off the god in raging tides. Lightning storms crashed through the chamber, savaging pillars and walls until the palace shook as though it had a soul. Bolts collided midair, throwing sparks of golden fire. The icy air seemed to ignite. With each flare, the cavern felt like an altar to a storm-reborn god. From the heart of the tempest, a blade of light cut down from above, lightning masquerading as a sword. It split the storm, shattered the air, then drifted into the thunder god's grasp. The instant his fingers closed around it, his presence surged. Golden lightning burned in his eyes, and the palace roared, as if the heavens themselves bowed to his return. "I did not expect, before I finally fade, to behold my dearest companion once more," he said, voice gentle as a breeze yet wearing a peaceful smile. "Thank you, young one." Lin Mo-yu froze, scarcely able to accept what he was hearing. Only the quiet lash of lightning broke the hush between them. Wisdom and light lived behind the god's gaze. With every pulse of power, Lin Moyo felt history's weight. With a tremor in his voice, he asked, "What do you mean? Are you truly awake?" The thunder god's eyes dimmed with sorrow. "No," he replied softly. "What stands before you is a remnant, a fragment of my soul preserved in the lightning herb. My true spirit perished in that war that ended the god's age." He lifted his hand. Holy radiance flowed from his palm, clear, immaculate, mesmerizing, unfurling into a mirror of space. Within it, the outer world took shape, rivers of energy, soaring creatures, cities washed in a new dawn. "Humanity has advanced far," he said into the reverent quiet. "So much has changed." Then his gaze returned to Lin Mo-yo, his tone deepening with a king's gravity. "Tell me, does Antares yet live?" Lin Mo-yo drew a steady breath. "The ancient earth dragon dwells above, in the upper space. He lives quietly noble and at peace." The thunder god nodded, a small, gentle smile touching his lips. "Good. While he remains, the world is secure. I can rest." Even as he spoke, his form began to unravel into filaments of light, each thread thinning like thunder smoke. Hope and trust lingered in his eyes. "I must go, young one," he said, his voice fading. "My light is nearly gone. Remember, keep moving forward, do not shrink from ascension. Become a transcendent god. Only then will your voice carry among the divine." For a final benediction, he raised his sword. A lance of pure radiance erupted bright enough to blind, bearing power like skyfire, and wrapped Lin Mo-yo in a divine embrace. "Accept my gift," the god's fading voice murmured. Power surged again. The last of the god's strength gathered, forging itself into a sword, pure electricity, breathing like a living thing. Thunder cracked, and a bolt struck Lin Mo-yo squarely. It did not wound, it anointed. Vast energy flooded him into blood, muscle, and soul. The godly blade fractured into countless strands of light and swept outward. Bathed in radiance, Lin Mo-yo was swallowed by the tide of power. Notifications cascaded before him, gleaming like sacred sigils. "Your lightning element immunity has increased by 1%. Your lightning element immunity has increased by 1%. They kept coming, relentless, until every last filament of light had settled within him. His body tightened with new strength, his energy surged. The old borders of resistance didn't merely hold, they shattered under the thunder god's might. At last, one final message appeared: "You have reached the maximum lightning element immunity. You are now permanently immune to lightning." Light sparked again around him. Voltage played over his skin, threaded through his hair, and synchronized with his heartbeat. Lin Mo-yo's body became a vessel of storm, a living conduit of the sky. He lifted his hands, fingers gleaming, and whispered, stunned, "From this moment on, lightning cannot harm me." Silence gathered, and then the air stirred. Bolts began to orbit him, dancing to the same rhythm that once crowned the thunder god. Distant thunder rolled in homage, and above the palace, it felt as though the divine were watching their eyes on a new air. Another message blazed into view, heavier than all the rest: "You have attained mid-level godhood. Absorb it to become a true god, or comprehend its power to ascend as a god-tier powerhouse. You have obtained the thunder god's godhood. Merge it to become the new thunder god." In an instant, Lin Mo-yo's being fused with lightning. Divine current rushed through him, golden radiance shone from his skin. He felt the sky raging in his veins, as though he'd merged with the heavens themselves. Startled, he cried, "Just like with the god of poison, I've inherited the thunder god's legacy." He turned a palm and noticed the crystal he held mythic, blazing, the air around it humming with living current. He brushed its surface. Law, these crystals contain the power of law itself. Only one who transcends all, an actual god, rules at that level. What are the gods scheming? Why leave such traces among mortals? He shook his head, a faint smile pressing at his lips despite the weight in his voice. I'm not there yet. One day, perhaps, I'll learn the truth from Sir Antares. Before the thought could settle, a violent tremor screamed through the cavern. Stone shuddered, and embedded crystals rained down. "This is bad," Lin Moyo shouted. "The whole place is collapsing." Cracks spidered across the floor and ceiling, thunder battering the air. Lightning hammered the chamber like spears from the clouds. He sprinted for the exit as the cavern fell apart in his wake. He burst outside just as a colossal flare swallowed the landscape. In a breath, the entire Thunder Canyon disappeared beneath a raging storm. Clouds ignited. The air burned like the sky itself. Then, gradually, the thunder ebbed, leaving only the soft, persistent fall of rain. It wasn't ordinary rain. It glowed holy, descending when a god passes. Lin Moyo lifted his face to it, each drop a quiet elegy. "Rain of the fallen gods," he said. So its true Thunder Canyon was the Thunder God's final rest. This sacred rain falls across all realms, human or divine alike. Meanwhile, high above, a dragon gazed at the falling rain and murmured, "So, he's finally gone. That brat actually carried the Thunder God's sword. Good. At least now, you can rest." Meanwhile, in the human world, a sudden downpour opened. The sky blackened, mourning aloud with each rumble. In the city, Meng Anwen lifted his gaze as rain traced his cheeks. "Another god has fallen," he breathed. "For 1,000 years, there's been no such rain, and now too. Back to back?" Dread and wonder mingled in his eyes, shock giving way to a dawning comprehension. The scene shifted. In a dim chamber scented with incense, Lin Mohen knelt before her master. "Master," she asked, gently but resolute, "could you divine Zhao Yu's condition?" The elder sat veiled in shadow, face unreadable, presence vast as if he'd long watched the threshold between worlds. "You know the price," he said calmly. "Each divination requires a drop of your blood." She hesitated only a heartbeat. "A drop is nothing beside my brother's life. Please help me." The old master inclined his head slightly. After a long, heavy pause, his voice came soft but steady. "There is no need to worry, Mohan. Your younger brother still walks among the living safe and unharmed." Lin Mohan drew a soft breath and bowed her head. Relief warmed her eyes, the world suddenly lighter. "That's good. Thank you, master," she whispered as the weight in her chest eased. The scene then returned to Lin Moyu, who was leaving the shattered canyon when he suddenly sensed something behind him. He turned and saw a massive stone tablet racing toward him, wrapped in an unfamiliar force. "What is that?" he exclaimed, eyes widening. He unfurled his skeleton wings, ready to take flight only to be crushed by an invisible pressure. He grimaced. "So the anti-flight restriction is still in effect," he said through his teeth. The tablet slammed into the earth nearby with a bone-shaking impact. Boulders skittered from the shock. Lin Moyo edged closer, eyes narrowed. "A primordial rune," he breathed, stunned. The rune on the ground began to glow, forming a circular pattern. At the same time, the rune mark on his hand shone brightly in response. Raising his hand toward the tablet, he watched as red streams of energy burst forth, spiraling around him, engulfing his body in their mysterious power. A surge of blinding energy erupted upward, piercing the sky like a crimson spear. The blast was so immense that it blanketed the entire canyon in a deep red glow, turning the air itself into a sea of burning light. The mountains trembled, the wind howled, and even the stones beneath Lin Moyu's feet cracked under the force. Around him, that same power began to gather an aura of pure red energy swirling furiously around his body, surging like a living storm. The air shimmered and rippled from the heat and pressure, and the ground was covered in glowing runes that pulsed with an ancient rhythm. Feeling that unimaginable force coursing through his veins, Lin Moyu drew a sharp breath, his eyes widening in disbelief. "Another primal source," he muttered under his breath, his voice carrying through the trembling canyon. He clenched his fist, feeling his blood boil with the energy of the rune, the world itself responding to his awakening power. That means for the next 10 days, every alien race out there will have their eyes locked on me. A sharp grin split his face. He tilted his head back and laughed a low, wild laugh that echoed across the stone walls of the canyon like the cry of a god descending upon the earth. This time, he said, voice dripping with excitement, I won't wait for you to come find me. His crimson eyes burned brighter. I'll be the one hunting you down. It's my turn to begin the slaughter. Without hesitation, he leapt up the mountain's jagged slope, his boots leaving trails of molten dust in his wake. When he reached the peak, he changed his battle gear dark armor forged from the bones of fallen beasts, plated with silver runes that glowed faintly with necrotic energy. His skeletal wings unfurled behind him, stretching wide and glinting in the red light. The moment they spread, a gust of power surged outward, shaking the clouds above. Then he launched himself into the air. With a single, mighty beat of his wings, Lin Moyu shot across the skies like a scarlet comet. The canyon vanished behind him as he soared higher, slicing through the storm clouds that boiled in the distance. The primal rune's energy pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat, every thrum echoing across the horizon. His expression hardened as he whispered to himself, Let's start with the Dragon Clan. I want to see those warlord-level puppets for myself. If I'm not mistaken, they're already gearing up for war. His voice was steady, but his aura surged with a killing intent that could suffocate the wind itself. But as Lin Moyu flew onward, his presence couldn't remain hidden. The red radiance of the primal rune enveloped him completely, traveling with him like a beacon shouting his location to the entire world. Meanwhile, somewhere far off, the Dragon Clan's warfleet thundered through the skies. From one of the colossal ships, a warrior caught sight of the crimson beam streaking across the horizon. Look, a red light, it's a primal rune, someone's claimed it, he yelled. At once, the commander barked an order. Full speed ahead, head straight for the source of that light. The entire armada, thousands of warships roared to life and surged forward as one, their battle cries echoing across the heavens. Back in the skies, Lin Moyu continued his flight. He had been traveling for nearly half a day, yet the crimson glow still burned fiercely around him, blazing through the clouds and painting the sky red. Every creature that glimpsed it knew what it meant the primal rune had awakened, and every greedy eye, every hungry heart, now turned in his direction. When Lin Moyu looked ahead, his eyes narrowed. Thousands of dragon warships were approaching, filling the sky like a metallic storm. He smirked. So, you've all come to deliver yourselves to me? Most of those approaching soldiers were Dragon Clan spear fighter ordinary war general, each one formidable in their own right, many already above level 70. They glared at him with fiery hatred, their formations stretching endlessly across the sky. A flicker of tension crossed Lin Moyu's face as he murmured, Hundreds of warships, and each with 100 warriors on board. That's nearly 100,000 puppets. Where in the world did the Dragon Clan get so many resources? Then, as the armies drew closer, one of the dragon warriors spotted him clearly. Lin Moyu, the soldier screamed, pointing furiously. It's him, the one who slaughtered our king, the Dragon King's kill-on-sight target. Kill him and seize the primal rune. Instantly, every battleship began charging its cannons. The air crackled as they drew lightning energy from the skies above, gathering immense power. Bolts of light danced across the storming heavens. Watching them prepare, Lin Moyu's eyes turned icy. So, you're channeling the thunder elements of this canyon to attack me. Clever, he said calmly. Then, a sly grin spread across his face. But let's see if it works. The Dragon Fleet commander's furious voice tore through the air. All units fire. Destroy him immediately. A moment later, the sky erupted. Thousands of cannons fired at once, unleashing an ocean of blinding energy blasts that tore through the air toward Lin Moyu. The attacks crashed into him all at once, engulfing him in a colossal explosion that shook the heavens. But then, notifications appeared around his body in glowing text. Electric element immunity. Electric element immunity. Electric element immunity. No matter how many blasts hit him, he stood there untouched, calm, confident, and smiling faintly. With a quiet chuckle, he said, "Unfortunately for you, lightning doesn't work on me." The dragon warriors froze, disbelief spreading through their ranks. "How is that possible?" one shouted. "With this much firepower, even a god-tier warrior couldn't survive. How is he still standing?" Then another warrior's eyes went wide. "Wait, does he have lightning immunity?" The commander clenched his jaw. "Enough. All units attack. Engage in close combat." At once, dragon warriors leapt from their ships, blazing with energy as they charged straight at Lin Moyu. Seeing the wave of enemies surging toward him, Lin Moyu simply smiled. "Perfect," he said quietly. Then, with excitement flashing in his eyes, he shouted, "Now it's your turn, my soldiers." In an instant, countless skeleton warriors materialized around him, summoned from the depths of his necromantic power. The Lick General appeared among them, chanting rapidly to cast buffs on every skeletal soldier. The battlefield transformed into chaos. Dragon warriors on one side, skeletal soldiers on the other, both armies vast enough to fill the horizon. Lin Moyu glanced around the carnage and smirked. "With this many enemies, I might just level up again," he said. Then his expression hardened as he raised his hand. "Since you're so desperate for the primal rune," he said coldly, "allow me to show you what its true power feels like." With that, he activated his mighty soldier ability. In an instant, his undead army flared with violent energy, their eyes glowing crimson as they charged. The dragon warriors met them head-on, the air filled with the sound of clashing steel and thunderous roars. One dragon warrior sprinted forward at incredible speed, but before he could strike, an arrow of light whistled through the air and pierced his skull. He collapsed instantly, lifeless. A nearby skeleton soldier grabbed his corpse by the leg, spun it in a full arc, and hurled it straight into the enemy ranks. Lin Moyu raising a hand. "It's been a while since I've watched fireworks," he said. "Let's make this one big." He snapped his fingers, and corpse explosion activated. The fallen dragon's body detonated in the middle of the battlefield, unleashing a violent wave of destruction that ripped through the enemy lines. The explosion annihilated dozens instantly, but Lin Moyu didn't stop. His skeleton army gathered more bodies, throwing them into enemy clusters. And each time, Lin Moyu triggered another explosion. A devastating chain of blasts tore across the battlefield. Flames consumed the air, metal ships shattered, and entire squadrons vanished in storms of blood and light. The dragon commander screamed, "Barrier! Activate the barrier now!" But the glowing barriers flickered and cracked almost instantly. "Retreat! Protect the fleet!" Too late. The barrier shattered. The explosions swallowed the warship's whole, melting armor, splitting the sky apart. In moments, the once glorious fleet of the Dragon Clan was reduced to wreckage raining from the heavens. At every moment the range of destruction widened. The sky became like a blazing light, dust, and pieces of flaming metal raining down onto the scarred earth. The thunder of every explosion spread far away, echoing off mountains and the heavens as if the gods themselves raged. That horrific spectacle continued for a long time. There was no pause in the blasts one after another, without interval, and each wave was more violent than the last. In the middle of the chaos, between colliding darkness and light, stood Lin Moyu quiet, unshaken, his gaze cold. The fire of ruin was reflected in his eyes, like a mirror of his calm savagery. With each falling flake of burning ash, he seemed ever more like a sovereign of death. He smiled slowly, a cold, feelingless smile as the flames kept dancing around him. In a voice almost a whisper yet carrying across the air, he said, "What a splendid view." Meanwhile, on the other side of the battle, the leader of the dragon warriors frozen in the air. At first he could not believe what he was witnessing. Warships that once dominated the skies now burned and were smashed in the midst of terrifying detonations. His chest felt squeezed by the weight of defeat. He could not understand how, in only a few heartbeats, the strength they had spent centuries building had vanished. His hand trembled as he gripped the hilt of his sword. He looked at the blazing sky as if it had become hell. From behind him, the voice of one of his officers thundered, filled with fear and panic. "Grand General, in just 1 minute we have lost more than 200 ships. Over 4,000 warriors are dead." Those words pierced his heart like a spear. He fell silent for a moment before striking his fist on the armrest of the ship's throne, swallowing his fury and desperation. He retreated a step, voice shaking between rage and anxiety. "Order every remaining unit to leave the blast zone this instant. Whatever happens, we must get out of here." The officers moved immediately. The few warships that survived the initial onslaught turned and pushed their engines to top speed like wounded beasts desperately fleeing a savage predator. But even as they sped away, Lin Moyo's pupils remained fixed on them, cold, sharp, full of resolve. In a voice so cold it seemed to freeze the air, he said, "Let's see how far you can run. If you do not return to your base, how will I find where you make those battle puppets?" His eyes glittered as he produced his weapon, a deadly blade fragrant with the scent of death. In an instant he lunged into the air, leaving trails of black energy with every sweep of his skeletal wings. As the wind intensified around him, a faint whisper of determination and fury escaped his lips. "I cannot allow the dragon line to advance to such heights. If they make a battle puppet that surpasses level 80. He paused, glancing in the direction the ships had fled. The whole of humanity would be endangered. For a full hour his pursuit was relentless. Like a shadow they could not outrun, Lin Moyo followed every movement of the dragon ships. The sky became a chase field, beams of energy, fire, and black smoke filling the air. With every passing moment Lin Moyo felt the tension's weight. The remaining ships desperately sought an escape route. After a long pursuit, at last their base loomed in view, an enormous area stretching to the horizon. In its center, thousands of warships lay arrayed like iron monsters, glinting in the sunlight. They waited, ready to strike at a single command. But the true sight that gripped Lin Moyo's attention was the dreadful fortress at the very center, a colossal stronghold floating in the sky, wrapped in magic and steel. From it emanated a powerful aura of dragon bloodline. Lin Moyo narrowed his eyes and murmured, heavy with wonder and doubt, "I never thought the dragon line could build a flying fortress of this scale. The time, strength, and wealth they poured into this, what secret are you hiding?" Before he finished thinking, a blinding light erupted from the fortress's core, followed by a dart that plunged out with deafening speed. Like lightning it flew toward Lin Moyo, trailing purple flames across the sky. He tracked its motion quickly, expression cold. Beneath his breath he spoke with curiosity and tension. "Dragon horns, a regression bloodline." He closed his eyes briefly to examine the aura. "So, you are the leader of this fortress." The approaching being stopped a few meters before Lin Moyo. Its face wore a challenging smile, the grin of a creature accustomed to war. "Lin Moyo," said the dragon leader, voice cold, laced with mockery. "I never imagined you had the courage to follow us here. It seems you are ready to die in your own folly." At his words, Lin Moyo's eyes darkened slightly. The once calm gaze was gradually replaced by a cold light of rage and resolve. Any trace of hesitation vanished from his face. Now he looked like a judge about to pass final sentence upon his enemies. In a voice like frozen steel he said, "There is nothing left to discuss. Between the human race and the dragon brood, there has long been no path to unity. Only the end remains for you, so fight." As he spoke, the atmosphere seemed to change. The air quivered and the energy around them began to surge, responding to the force of his will. The dragon leader first smirked, then his expression darkened with fierce anger. His eyes set ablaze, and a mighty roar burst from his chest like thunder foretelling doom. "Destroy Lin Moyo," he shouted, and at that instant the world seemed to explode with light. The surroundings flared. Every wall of the fortress ignited with blue and golden energy. One by one the protection shields activated, enveloping the stronghold like a massive crystal tank. Lines of energy shimmered and crawled across the sky, forming an energy dome that seemed unbreakable even by the greatest force. At the same time, the warships around them activated their shields, glittering like stars amid the storm. Moments later, from the fortress and the surrounding ships, thousands of cannons roared in unison, each casting beams of energy as sharp as lightning. The sky became a battle of fire and light. Their rays left marks of destruction wherever they struck. The surrounding mountains trembled and dust cloaked the land as the sky continued to be torn by ceaseless detonations. Amid that chaos, Lin Moyo remained calm, his face without fear. But beneath the silence one could sense the tremendous weight of power slowly awakening within him. "These are true dragon warriors," he murmured, voice low, watching the hundreds of ships encircling him, each flashing with dazzling light and ready to crush him in an instant. From the fortress's towers, successive beams of energy struck, relentless lightning raining down in his direction, ripping the air and leaving burning trails across the sky. Lin Moyo did not waste a moment. With a cold, steady motion, he slowly drew his scythe. Its edge shimmered with black-green energy, and, as he spun it in his hand, the very surroundings seemed to bow before his power. "If that is so," he said with emotionless tone, "then let us indulge in a true battle." With a shout that echoed through the sky, he ordered, "Appear." A poisonous thunder god beast instantly manifested in the air, and from the blade a titanic creature burst forth, shrouded in thick clouds of venom and green lightning. The ground shook with each of its steps, and its eyes blazed with the deep light of poison. In that moment Lin Moyo raised his hand and channeled energy from his body into the beast, filling it with spiritual strength. In only a few heartbeats it grew fiercer. The sky rang with its piercing roar that rolled among the clouds. Then Lin Moyo raised his hand to the heavens. From the bowels of the earth thousands of skeletal warriors surged forth, each armed and wrapped in a black energy. Their eyes glowed with blue fire, and the ground was shadowed as the cold presence of death carved through the air. With every move one could hear the creaking of bone and metal, a soulless army obeying only their lord's command. Then he opened his inventory and took out a vessel that contained the blood of a poison god. The moment he revealed it, a dreadful energy burst out, a dazzling green, blinding light exuding a lethal scent. The air grew heavy, and the clouds above began to tint green. Its presence was so strong that even the leader of the dragons, used to immense power, trembled with fear. His eyes widened as he felt an inexplicable force enveloping them, an energy that seemed to come from between life and death. "The aura of a god? What is that? How is that possible?" he shouted, his muscles trembling as the poisonous force crept through the air. His eyes flashed with fear and astonishment, while the surroundings suddenly chilled and darkened. Lin Moyo raised the vessel and released the poison blood essence into the air. In an instant, the poisonous energy spread across the battlefield, a thick green cloud flowing from his hands, swallowing each corner of the field. Every breath in the vicinity seemed to be linked to death. They tasted the cold, horrifying stench of the venom. The air itself grew heavy, making it hard to breathe amid the lethal chemicals. Witnessing this, the dragon leader clenched his fist. His whole body trembled with rage, and through clenched teeth he shouted, "I can feel your poison, Lin Moyo. It is strong, yes, but no matter how powerful, you cannot destroy our ships and fortress with poison alone." A deep, cold laugh escaped Lin Moyo, laced with darkness and mockery, and carrying a warning to anyone who heard it. "Ah, you noticed it too," he said, his voice low and mocking. With a swift motion he pointed his great scythe toward the fortress and shouted, "Poisonous thunder beast, attack!" In an instant the beast unleashed a deafening roar. With every step it exhaled thick, lethal fumes, carving a path toward the fortress. The ground quaked at its stride, and the air filled with deadly poison that seemed to kill any life nearby. As it neared the stronghold, its vast maw opened, channeling horrifying energy within a clear sign of an annihilating strike to come. The fortress's metal walls and the surrounding ships began to tremble, sensing the weight of death traveling on the wind. With the thunder's roar, waves of electricity and venom whirled around the beast. Its whole body shone with blinding green lightning, a scene of chaos and terror, as if the beast were born from nature's own savagery. It prepared to unleash the notorious technique, venomous thunder annihilation. Even before the attack was released, the poison and lightning flashing from the beast's body nearly extinguished all life nearby. A suffocating pressure spread across the battlefield, squeezing the chests of even the strongest dragon warriors. Every dragon close by was forced to pause their breathing, almost numb with fear and trembling. On the dragon leader's face a profound sense of danger appeared. "This is bad," he whispered. Before his men could act, it was already too late. With a massive, ear-splitting thunderclap, energy burst from the beast, a colossal explosion of poison and lightning that swept everything before it. The air flared with green and yellow light as the fortress and the dragon's ships were engulfed by the deadly storm of venom. Within seconds, the dragon warriors struck by the attack began to rot away until only bones remained. Their screams were drowned by roaring thunder, and the scene filled with utter devastation, darkness, death, and chaos with no escape. As the dragon commander watched the unfolding catastrophe, his eyes widened in fear. Every nerve trembled and dread rose in his heart. He screamed at the top of his lungs and fell back, trying to escape the blast's radius. But it was already too late. On his orders, the remaining dragon warriors scrambled to flee, but the poison was too swift and savage to avoid. With each heartbeat, the air filled with toxic smoke, devouring anything it touched. The cries of terror and suffering mixed with the sounds of exploding ships. As the poison raged and flowed like a living beast, it mercilessly consumed everything in its path. After a long, dreadful span, the poisonous clouds finally began to thin. When the light returned the air, only a few warships near the fortress remained in the sky, and a scant number of dragon warriors had survived, trembling and sweating. But before they could even breathe, the fortress itself began to quake violently. Within seconds, it detonated, collapsing into dust in a thunderous explosion. As the fortress disintegrated, dark energy began to swirl in the air above. Then, out of that darkness, a portal appeared. Lin Moyu's eyes widened. A secret realm, so that's what they were protecting all along. The dragon leader roared furiously. "Abandon the warships. Kill Lin Moyu at all costs. Protect the secret realm. The humans must never take it." But Lin Moyu only smiled, his voice calm and confident. "Sorry, but that secret realm now belongs to me." And with that, the battle came to a breathtaking end. So friends, this chapter comes to an end. What will happen next? We'll uncover it in the next chapter. Don't forget to rate this chapter out of 5 in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. What are your predictions for the next chapter? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. The moment all the scattered dragon warriors who had been desperately trying to save their lives just moments earlier heard the commander's furious order, something snapped inside them. Their fear turned to blind rage. All at once, they roared together, their voices shaking the battlefield. "Kill him! Kill Lin Moyu!" Fueled by anger, they rushed forward in a massive wave, determined to stop Lin Moyu from stepping into the secret realm. But as the army of dragon warriors charged, Lin Moyu's summoned forces were already waiting. The countless skeleton warriors, hovering in the air like a storm of white bones, instantly launched themselves toward the advancing dragons. They flew together in a terrifying swarm, forming a wall of death to block the warriors' path. The collision was explosive. Weapons clashed violently. Shields shattered. Cold steel scraped against bone. The very ground trembled from the force of their clash. From the moment the dragon warriors and skeleton warriors met, neither side held back. This wasn't a simple battle, this was a brutal struggle where every fighter unleashed their absolute peak strength, trying to annihilate the enemy. But right in the midst of this chaos, something strange began to happen. A few dragon warriors suddenly froze, their expressions turning from anger to confusion. A strange green fog was spreading around them, silent, creeping, and deadly. At first they panicked. What is this? Where is this fog coming from? But within seconds, realization struck them. It was poison. All around them, faint green symbols flickered to life on the skeleton warriors. A venomous aura swirled around their bodies, coating their weapons and armor. The Lick General, standing at a distance, had activated a massive poison buff spell, enchanting the entire skeletal army with toxic enhancement. Now every slash, every stab, every impact carried poison deep into the dragon warriors' bodies. Their strength began fading instantly. Their limbs trembled. Their skin began to melt and blister as the poison spread. Those who were weaker collapsed almost immediately, their bodies dissolving under the toxic effect. And the few powerful dragon warriors who managed to resist the gas, those who remained standing, were quickly finished off. The skeleton warriors hacked them down with their axes, giving them no time to recover. The poison slowed the dragons so severely that they could barely lift their weapons. Every slash from the skeletons hit like a fatal execution. Dragon warriors fell one after another, powerless to stop the relentless assault. While the skeleton warriors were pushing forward, Lin Moyu calmly gathered the fallen corpses with a wave of his hand. His expression turned serious, almost emotional, as he raised his hand. Then, with cold determination, he activated his signature skill. For me, numbers mean nothing. The soldiers you're so proud of now become my weapons. The corpse explosion began. The dead bodies of the dragon warriors scattered everywhere across the battlefield started to glow ominously. Then, one by one, they detonated. Boom, boom, boom. Gigantic explosions erupted across the entire area, lighting the sky with terrifying brightness. The ground cracked. Fire roared across the plains. Dust, debris, and body fragments were thrown everywhere. More than half of the Dragon Clan's battleships were already destroyed. The explosions shook the very sky. The few surviving dragon warriors looked around in horror, their courage evaporating. They screamed in panic. Run, escape as fast as you can. But before they could flee, Lin Moyu raised his hand again. With fierce intensity he commanded, "This time, I will not let you escape." The skeleton prison skill activated. Countless bone chains shot out from the ground and the air, moving like venomous serpents. They wrapped around the fleeing dragon warriors at lightning speed, binding their limbs and freezing them in place. Panic spread instantly. What is this? We can't move. Someone break free. No, 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 let me go. But it was too late. The skeleton warriors charged at them with terrifying speed. Meanwhile, the skeleton mages on the ground raised their staffs, summoning deadly magical orbs crackling with destructive power. Physical strikes from the warriors. Magical blasts from the mages. Both attacks struck at the same moment. The impact was devastating. The bound dragon warriors couldn't defend themselves, they were torn apart one by one until none remained. Far away, the Dragon Clan's leader witnessed his forces being slaughtered. His fury erupted like a volcano. Grinding his teeth until they nearly cracked, he screamed, "Lin Moyu, I will kill you." Enraged beyond control, he awakened his bloodline power. A violent, ancient aura burst from his body. His muscles expanded, bones shifted, and scales began forming all over him. The transformation was painful, but he ignored it. This power harms my body. But to kill Lin Moyu, I no longer care. Within seconds, he fully transformed into a massive dragon. His wings tore through the air, and his eyes burned with murderous hatred. He glared straight at Lin Moyu and roared, "You deserve to die. The ancestral bloodline has granted me divine strength. I will use your blood to honor my fallen warriors." With unbelievable speed, he lunged forward and struck Lin Moyu with his enormous claws. The attack slammed into Lin Moyu's skeleton armor, cracking it slightly. Lin Moyu looked at the cracked armor and scoffed. "That's it. Did you not eat or something?" Barely had he finished speaking when the dragon leader Furious struck again with even greater force. This time, Lin Moyu took some visible damage, but he immediately activated damage transfer and full link, redirecting the injury away from himself. When the damage disappeared from his body, Lin Moyu smirked. "So this is your ultimate strength. A dragon's bloodline? Pathetic, nothing remarkable." The dragon leader froze for a moment, utterly confused. How was Lin Moyu completely unharmed? His confidence began to crack. But Lin Moyu didn't give him time to think. With a sharp gesture, he activated skeleton fangs. Bone spikes erupted violently from the ground like giant spears. They pierced through the dragon leader's wings, legs, chest, every part of his transformed body. Blood poured from his mouth as he roared in pain and fury. "You dare insult the dragon bloodline? Prepare to die." He activated one of his strongest skills. A massive aura-constructed phantom appeared behind him, an enormous spectral dragon mimicking his movements. When the leader opened his mouth, the giant aura phantom opened its mouth as well. The moment Lin Moyu saw this, he became serious. Even he felt nervous. Suddenly, multiple tornado-like whirlwinds formed around him, spinning and slicing with incredible force. Lin Moyu was trapped in the center, fighting against the violent winds. "The power is not bad," he muttered calmly inside the raging storm. "It won't harm me, but it might instantly kill my skeletons." The tornado spun him around for several seconds. Then it vanished. Lin Moyu regained balance and looked around for the dragon leader. But the battlefield was silent. Not a single dragon was in sight. He frowned. "I underestimated him. I expected him to fight me to the death like the Abyss demons. Who would have thought he'd use this chance to run? He even abandoned the flying fortress." Before him, the portal to the secret realm glowed quietly. No one was left to stop him. Suddenly, a bright beam descended from the sky. "Level up." Level 53 achieved. Lin Moyu smiled with satisfaction. "I killed so many of the Dragon Clan's war generals." Finally, level 53. With confidence, he walked toward the secret realm portal. This is the place the Dragon Clan hid inside the fortress. He stepped inside. But in the very next second, boom, the portal violently expelled him, throwing him across the ground. Shocked, Lin Moyu stared at the portal. "What? I was rejected." Then he noticed the primordial runes symbol glowing on his hand. The symbol showed the secret realm area inside it. "I see. I'm still in the primal runes trial period. 10 days until the red glow disappears. I cannot enter any dungeon or secret realm, nor leave the ancient trial grounds." He sighed. "It seems I'll have to return once the time runs out." But just then, a suffocating, overwhelming aura appeared behind him. Lin Moyu's entire body stiffened. His eyes widened in shock. This aura, it's the Demon King. So friends, this chapter comes to an end. What will happen next? We'll uncover it in the next chapter. Don't forget to rate this chapter out of 5 in the comments. We'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye. What are your predictions for the next chapter? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And most importantly, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.